All right, so brand new kind of chocolate chip cookies to add to your repertoire. Oh, the recipe doesn't talk about how long to bake. It also doesn't talk about how many cookies you're going to get. I usually start at about 8 minutes. You're going to want, if you looked at the photos above, you saw that you start to see a really golden rim against the cookie sheet, which is going to give you a nice golden base. The other thing, you may have noticed that it's more of a cookie batter as opposed to a cookie dough. Because of that, because it is so wet, as they're baking, they're really shiny on top, like glossy shiny. And when they're about done, they become matte. The wetness goes away, they kind of dry out. I don't know if you can tell, because the lighting's not great in here, but there's not any shine on this. It's just a nice matte cookie. The recipe, I know. 2 weeks ago I told you I never do a small batch of cookies. This time I actually did a half batch because over the past 2 weeks we've had a lot of chocolate chip cookies in the house. Not only the ones that I've used on here, but I've actually also made some to take to an event. Lots of chocolate chip cookies. So I gave up and I just did a half batch. Half batch of the recipe gave me about 3.5 dozen cookies. So a full batch would give you then probably 7 to 8 dozen cookies if you're using a small scoop like I do. It's a lot of cookies. It's great unless you're really tired of chocolate chip cookies. So anyway, the nice thing about these is they are very different from the other ones. So it's a nice change of pace. I've already talked about the way they look. The interior, when you break them open, it's cakey. It's more like those sugar jumbles from last week. You get a really nice cakey texture inside. The cornflakes, I know you're probably wondering, don't they get mushy? Isn't it like when you leave cornflakes in milk? No, they don't. They get a little softer. They're not as crisp as they were when they first came out of the box, but they're definitely not soggy. They're a little bit chewy. I've given these cookies to people and they've said, is there coconut in there? Is there oatmeal in there? Because they can't tell what the texture is from. And it's from the cornflakes, not so much from the chocolate chips. They know those are there. So, yeah, it's a kind of chewy texture to the chocolate chip cookie. It's a nice change of pace over the other ones. I love the other ones, but sometimes you have to step away. The flavor is really nice. It does have vanilla, it has the chocolate, obviously. The leavening is a little different. I didn't talk about it, but these actually have baking powder instead of baking soda. Different leavening changes the way things rise. Again, I don't know all the science behind it. If you want me to look it up, let me know. I will. I'll get back to you. In the meantime, I've got a whole bunch more cookies, and you have a new recipe. So enjoy, and maybe the next time someone says you can't have cookies for breakfast, you can prove them wrong. All right, see you in a week.